Impact.
Sweet. Okay, hello everybody. Welcome another talk at Meteor Impact 2025. And actually, I will be using the poll, so get ready. First of all, a question: have you heard of mantra before? It will be a true/false statement. Let's see where things come in. In the meantime, hello, my name is Dvořák. I'm the conference coordinator. You might also know me as Storyteller or Storyteller CZ on the social media, GitHub, and so on. I'm the founder of Little Universe. Been working with Meteor since 2015. I am one of the core MeteorJS contributors. Not part of Meteor software. I'm with the community, specifically with the MeteorJS community packages, where I'm one of the co-founder and maintainers. I'm an aspiring sci-fi writer and Japan enthusiast. So let's see. Dimitri and Jan, I would like to know your answers to this if you are on your computers, if you're not just away listening. So far, at least. Oh, Dimitri doesn't know about mantra. Interesting. I'll be covering that in a moment. And so let's take the results. Let's kind of take a look. Mantra is an application architecture for Meteor. It was created by Arunoda, I think like 2015, 2016 latest. It was an architecture spec on how to build React apps in Meteor, though it was heavily focused on the React part, and the server all stuff was kind of more of an afterthought. It was built around higher order components. It had some extra, you could say UI, not UI, but CLI tools, how to build things and how to connect everything like its connector. It was also built around Flow Router as well. And it was supposed to be future-proof. That was the big promise, and for me the big draw. But today I would probably know that a spec, given that there was a tooling around it, quite a big one, and using the hardware components and other things, specifically that Aruna build, that might have been a red flag. Because what happened, React changed quite drastically. It abandoned the higher order components on which Mantra was, in a way, you could say, built, and all the composition that was there. React Router came onto a scene, and through that and through hooks allowed for new paradigms that made all those things obsolete, especially within Flow Router. MeteorJS itself has changed to maybe be a bit more accommodating, potentially, I would say. And Mantra was never truly finished because Aroda moved on before I think it could really fix some of the, I would say, issues and mistakes. All the approaches, I would say, of course, in the last 10 years have evolved and matured. The ecosystem has stabilized quite a bit. And then we have the LLMs, aka AI, coming on board and creating a new paradigm as well. But I still like Mantra in a way. I'm still following a lot of its building steps, or how things should be built. So I wanted to kind of revive it, upgrade it, and provide more for it. So first of all, things that inspired me were atomic design. That also kind of comes together with the styled components for React, which weren't available back then. Of course, there's still the separation of UI from the data. So we've kind of have the components that are just for displaying stuff, which will allow for better testing in places like Storybook, which would otherwise be a problem. Another big inspiration is Alex Kondo, who has also inspired the core team when they built their examples and other things. So he has published an article called Tao of React and Tao of Node. He also has Tao of Full Stack, which is a book he sells, which I still have to read. So that one kind of argues for a very specific design, in partly similar to what Mantra has as well. So that kind of was inspiration for me. Another big departure, or as I mentioned in React, was focusing more on SSR, away from single page applications, which lately leads me to question if React is the way forward, but everybody is copying that as well. So something that we'll have to account for, and I still actually have to account for that in what I'm going to present to you later on. One big other thing is that Meteor is a full stack framework. So it should, in architecture related to that, it should be covered in that aspect. And that's probably the most recent addition, where I would say I gave the server side and all the rest of the Meteor its due, which brings me to a question: if what I've created should be still called Mantra, or maybe if I should name it something else. So on the client side, it still focuses on React, while I will say provide for Solid, especially as I kind of get to learn more about it. I think the same principles will apply there as well, but Solid will be probably a little bit more accommodating. And while before, it kind of had to use some of the Mantra specific tools and libraries to really kind of follow it. In the new approach, I want it to be agnostic in that respect. I just want to be, here is how you should have the structure. Here is how you should think about it. How you should kind of build your components. And this is so that when a dev learns this, they can go to another company that uses it and jump right in and kind of follow and figure out what's going on, not trying to figure out, okay, what is the architecture philosophy here, so I know where everything is. Of course, adding server-side and database, that will be something that's database specific. I have to think a little bit more, but I think there it's a bit easier to manage, especially with MongoDB. So that is moving from say attachments to the spec into their own chapters, which will be, I would say, pretty short in that respect. In the future, I want to focus more on LLM application, which I think this spec like this can be super super useful. And I think for me, it will also be a test. If I can write the spec in a way that allows for the LLMs to take it and write and actually create the application the way I inserted to, then it's written well, and humans should understand it as well. So that's kind of coming in the future, and of course part of it will be to have a list or like have a rule sets for the different coding tools that would allow it to follow in that pattern. So let's go and see the specs and kind of dive a little bit more into it, what I'm actually doing here, so that you have an idea of what I'm trying to achieve. First of all, big disclaimer, I am not yet finished. I was hoping I would be, but I had to reconsider quite a few things, especially originally Mantra used Flow Router, which does not really sit well with how modern React and Solid is built. And I've also discovered that the React mounter in Flow Router is really dated, so not really something that I kind of want to proceed future. But maybe with Dimitri's help, we can figure it out, because one of the things I want to really keep much more back into the Meteor framework. The original two was that it will be easy to maintain and it will be future proof. Sadly, the future proof has not panned out as much as I wanted to, or as I think as I really wanted to. So that's something to kind of look for again. Oh, let me see. I don't think I might have. Let's. Oh, I don't have the latest changes up yet. I thought I would finish better, but no. Let me push this up. So let me quickly commit that and push it, which a big reveal maybe, or more like it's work in progress. So you see this, the addition is here, the server architecture, and removal of appendix B, which was originally about that. So I want to primarily here give you a quick overview and kind of get your attention towards this. And it's kind of to look what, first of all, what is Mantra not? It's not an application platform. Zoom it in. Oops. That is what Meteor. That's what Meteor is. It's not a boilerplate, though we do have. There is an architecture structure. We'll have some examples as well. It's not a code generator yet. That's going to be, I think, in the future, especially when it comes to LLMs and everything else. So what is inside this is, I think, still something I need to upgrade. It's kind of from the original, so we can kind of compare. Modern React and Solid based UI component layer. That's kind of the core. It has a place to define business logic in your application. In this case, it will be called actions. Does not have state management, but there are a variety of options. Primarily, it will be focused on Meteor Tracker, GraphQL, or I think for most application that would be it. If you want some additional, more complex management, then that will be up to you. Let me just move this, oops, so that I have my head looking actually at it. It's not on the other screen. So it has a way to integrate both states and actions into UI components by using pure components with integration components, aka containers. In this way, we are kind of, you could say, maybe going a little bit back in time, where the idea is that you have a container where all the data and all the action kind of comes together, and that is then passed onto the UI component. So that, when you test the component, you put it in the storybook, you can just change the props and can easily test it. And that's kind of the next point. Helps you to unit test UI actions integration, because they are in their own thing. So, and it kind of defines what should be the directory layout, what should be the file naming, and everything kind of related to that. And then this is a new one. It defines how MeteorJS server should look like. So it's it's kind of standard and for people to use. So it's better to have a spec than try to kind of build own framework, which then you have to make much more choices, while this is more flexible and allows you to adjust that. And of course, you should have ES 2024, TypeScript, React Solid. Know a little bit about React containers historically. I might probably remove that. And know Meteor basics, and then there's the appendix to kind of give you more information. So I'm kind of going to move quite fast because I have only a short time. I just want to kind of give you a bit of a teaser where I'm going on this, what I'm thinking about this, and this is kind of, I would say, most of us already kind of do this. What I want to really cover is and this is kind of where I kind of want the most feedback from you guys, is the directory structure. At the top in the imports should be API, configs, and modules. So API is usually something that's also that you can share with the server, like with the collections and anything related to that. Configs, as the name says, that's app-wide configurations and configurations for libraries and other things that you put in. And modules, that's the main part. Each module has inside as action, components, configs, cons, libs, router, definitions, and README. Actions is where that's where you define the API calls or Meteor methods. Components, that's where, of course, the components live. Configs are any additional configurations. I think I might later maybe merge that with consts as well, because oftentimes they are one and the same. So configs, cons, so cons will be just files with constances and configurations files. Libs, that's primarily for third-party libraries. Router, and this is for the modular router. So nice example is in Literal Universe we have the forum module, and the router there defines the routes for the forums. So then I can take and put the forums into different places as well. Or comments is another one. I have a router that has all the routes for the comments, and then I can just put that router for comments into the articles, into blog posts, into stories, wherever I need to have comments. So in with actions and a lot of other things, I'm following a lot the old approach that Armada has left us. So that's, though I have changed it, because before it was a lot of, I would say, needless complication with how it, kind of build the modules and everything. In the new one, you have to kind of do a lot of lifting yourself. It's not as magical, but still, the modules are kind of its own units for the most part. So the components, and this is kind of following from the Tao of React. If you have a component like that, you have the header. In index, you have kind of the public component export. I think this index could be, actually no, but just to make it nice, it will not be removed. But we have the UI component layer. Then you have the container, which is where the data comes from. You can have SCSS. In my case, with using styled components, you won't have that. That will be all in here, and you will have the test there as well. Constants are constants as defined. Libs is like settings for libraries. And this is still the old flow router that I will have to probably review. Maybe I'll sit with Dmitry for a little bit and figure out what would be, if we can still use flow router for this, or if we need to kind of go with the React router and solid router respectively. But the idea again is that we can push it into different places in other, say, modules or components, so that you can kind of be more composable. So that's what's going to change. And then we have the API folder, a bit more up on that, which has collections, it has methods, publication, resolvers, and schemas, which are separated in GraphQL and simple schema, for example. And still something that I would like to hear your feedback. And then finally, layout for the directory. Remember, we have the imports, and in the server, we have the configs, we have startups, and we have publications. So here is an example. In the configs we'll have, say, Apollo config, rate limiting, security. In the startups, there will be stuff like database migration, default users, or populating of the database. Then, since publications are only server-based, they are, of course, on server. And then you import the methods from the imports folder. Still need to do a little bit more checking on this. Again, it's still very early versions of actually giving more guidelines on the server, how the server should look like. So this is something that I am building. I'm hoping that this could then be adapted. There's some, more, of course, the prerequisites that you kind of should know. Organizing modules. I think this will be more, but there's like, some special ones. So you have like core module where you have the shared components. You have pages modules, which is for static pages. So kind of the exceptions to the rules. File naming conventions, which is something that can be then potentially put into a linter if needed. And migrating from original mantra, I think I will have to scrap, because, and that is the final question, given all the changes. If what do you guys think? Should I still go with the name mantra, given that it has such a nice historical connotation, or should I be looking at a new name for this, something more space-like? So Dimitra, Dmitry says that I should have a new repo and name instead of a fork. Definitely will look into that. Okay, let's hear it. Dmitry, come on.
Hold on, my camera is loading. Just 1 second. Yeah, I want to just explain why I would prefer to have a new name. And it goes back to my original topic, actually, of the SEO. So one of the most popular packages I have is Flow Router Extra, and it is a fork of Flow Router by Kadira as well. And it has no SEO value at all, because on GitHub, all forks, they have the link, the canonical link goes to the original repo. So whenever you Google or try to search for Flow Router Extra, you will get Atmosphere, Pacosphere, Dev2 articles, but you never get a link to GitHub, because yes, they all original links link to the original Flow Router. So I recommend to have a separate GitHub and maybe a better Cosmic name. You can always mention the inception and roots of the project somewhere in the description.
Thank you very much for that feedback on that. Definitely will take it into consideration as I build this soon. Aaron, what do you have for me?
Yeah, sorry, I don't have my camera available.
No worries.
But yeah, I agree that you probably want to pick a different name. And I realize that naming is hard. And I realize you also want to give respect to the spiritual ancestor. But I think you also need to decide, can it really be both for Solid and React? I don't know if you can do both. And if it's going to be Solid, if you ultimately play around a little bit more Solid, kind of go that path, then it's not so much the tip of the hat, so much to Mantra. Anyway, I mean, it's kind of cool, the historical part of your inspiration, but I do think you need to come up with a different name. In my previous community where I spent a lot of time, they couldn't think of a good name, for all the directory layouts and all the different things, like a lot of the stuff you're talking about. They wanted, a good way to kind of consolidate things. They called it Fluffy Bunny Layout, which is a terrible name. But I think you do need some sort of name, and if it could be satellites or meteorological or something, that would be cool. But even if it's not, I mean, Mantra certainly is a cool name, but yeah, I think you need a new name.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that feedback and attention to this matter. I would appreciate any other feedback then later on what I'm proposing. As I said, it's still a work in progress. I'll probably figure out in the coming days a better name and try to solidify some of the ideas and try to implement it in my own projects as well. And through that, I think it will solidify even more, and I will kind of find, okay, this doesn't work. This is just too needless, all that stuff. So
if you went for Solid, maybe you could call it Solidified.
It doesn't really go too much with the other themes for Meteor. All right,
The name is taken.
Yeah, that as well, probably. All right, I'm running over time, so thank you very much, and I'll have Dr. Dmitry come in with his talk.